the segments and panels. This week we saw one death, bringing our on-screen total to 178, and our on-screen and off-screen total for this episode was also one. Sorry, Steve. So the on and off-screen total is 1,291 plus. I think this would have been, like, you know, like, there was supposed to be, like, a storyline with Gordon and, like, Ellen and stuff like that, and, like, hunting Sam down. Like, Gordon was supposed to have a bigger storyline. I think this is where this was supposed to come from. Like, Sam killed Steve, and then I think there was supposed to be a big thing with Gordon.
Gordon was one of his friends.
Yeah, exactly. But they couldn't get the actor, so they didn't. Anyway.
I never connected that, but that makes a lot more sense now.
I'm pretty sure when I was reading about that storyline, I'm pretty sure it mentioned Steve. MVP of the week. Let's see who everyone would like to nominate as this week's most valuable person. Let's start with Jaden.
I'm gonna have to say probably Joe.
Okay, cool. Joe and Vail.
Okay, probably Dean, only because he was going into Big Brother mode and he did help. He got a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
Anyways, I really love the final scene where Meg is, like, biting into that bullet wound and he has to just look at Sam. Enjoying that moment. That would be horrifying.
Yeah, that's very rough. I did not talk about it in my notes for a reason.
Yeah.
And Meredith, how about you?
I also decided Dean. I do like giving it to people who aren't the brothers, but, like, Dean had to go through a lot this week, and he was working very hard to, like, find Sam and take care of Sam.
I split mine this week between Dean and Bobby, because Bobby saved himself and did the exorcism, and I think he would have been able to save Sam on his own.
Strongly agree.
However, Sam/Meg was fully gonna kill Joe and probably sexually assault and torture her, and Bobby would not have been able to prevent that. Dean saved Joe, so he should get also some credit.
Yeah.
So I'm splitting it 50-50 between the two of them. Our next segment is the Bechdel test. Did we have two named women in this episode?
Are we gonna count Meg as a... I feel like we did.
Yeah, I mean, Meg's here, Joe was here, Dean talked to Ellen on the phone.
Yeah. That daughter might have been named in the prop letter. I don't know.
She wasn't named, though.
Damn.
We don't know her name. But this episode doesn't pass the Bechdel test because Ellen was only on the phone.
And I'm pretty sure Meg and Joe were talking about multiple men.
Yeah, I mean, they had a whole conversation about Joe had a crush on Dean, which is a fail on the Bechdel test.
Come on, guys. We care about other things.
I'm gonna count this as a fail. Mostly because I just don't really... I mean, like, Meg obviously, like, identifies more feminine than masculine, clearly, but I don't know. Demons are such a gray area when it comes to like the Bechdel test.
They are, but I don't know. I feel like we can count Meg as a woman.
Yeah, I
think that's the way she wants to be perceived.
Yeah, I agree. I think in Sam's body it's a little different.
It was one time.
This week's case of the week was the demon that we know as Meg. So, Meredith, do you have anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, I have a little bit on demonic possession, because I don't think I've discussed it yet.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, demonic possession is when a demon or an evil spirit enters your body and controls it, like a hermit crab looking for new shells. In season 1, we said that demons are an entire third of the host of heaven. They're the ones who backed Lucifer in his rebellion, and because of that, they can never come to Earth and have bodies of their own. So sometimes they take other people's bodies joyriding. In the Bible, Jesus exorcised demons a lot, the most out of anyone else in the Bible. He did it just by telling demons to leave, like, once, very simply, like, hey, get out, which is one of the advantages of being the son of God, I imagine. A modern interpretation of demonic possession links it to illness, whether that be physical or mental. So, similar to the changeling myth we'll be exploring next season, people would see seizures or what they felt was strange behavior and attribute it to a demon using that person's body to do whatever they wanted. You can imagine some of the disadvantages of this way of thinking, some of which persist to the present day. If you're into ghost stories and cryptids in any capacity, then you've likely heard of the story of Anneliese Michel, a young German woman who tragically died in the 70s because of exorcisms. She had temporal lobe epilepsy, which resulted in seizures, and was later diagnosed with depression. At first, her parents relied on conventional medicine and psychiatry, but when Anneliese's condition worsened in spite of those, and she began hearing voices and hating religious objects, her parents decided it was time for a priest. She underwent 67 exorcisms before dying of malnutrition and dehydration, and her parents and the priest were charged with negligent homicide, which makes a lot of sense because she went through so much that she didn't have to.
This still kills people. Like, people still die this way. make me a little bit upset.
Yeah, like this was in the 70s, and it's such a famous case because it was horrifying. It's pretty tragic. Like she was a very sick young woman, and she needed more medicine and psychiatry. She didn't need a priest. Very sorry. Fortunately for us, Sam actually was possessed by a demon, so we don't have that problem. Story-wise, demonic possession has a lot in common with the mind control trope that we discussed previously. You can have a lot of fun with it and see your favorite character acting like a villain for a bit, and there's the added challenge of taking down the demon without harming the person they're possessing. It makes for a dramatic, high-stakes story that's a lot of fun to watch. However, as with the mind control trope, it's a little bit dicey, as we see here. The demon can use their victims' bodies for some pretty shady things, and it results in a conundrum that doesn't really have a real-life equivalent. If it's your body and someone else's mind, then how much are you responsible for? As we see with, like, Sam and Joe, how much does Sam have to take responsibility for what Meg did to her? I vote that the person being possessed is a victim and bears little to no responsibility, but at the same time, I understand if a person the demon hurt would feel differently.
Yeah, I think Joe is definitely valid if she feels upset at Sam.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also don't think it's Sam's fault, like, at all.
No. In conclusion, Jesus is cool and good at exercising, in probably multiple ways. I'm sure he walked a lot. Mental illness is a real thing that people will spend their entire lives fighting, so you shouldn't call a priest if it gets worse. And demonic possession is a fun trope.
Thanks for all of that.
You're welcome. I did it in an hour, and it was great. I know that, like, some Christian denominations still have, like, priests who are trained in exorcisms. I think that's actually, it's very interesting, even if I don't necessarily agree with it.
I wasn't sure whether to bring this up, but on the topic of priests who are still doing it, JonTron made a video about a documentary where they're still doing it in the Vatican to this day. I think it's mostly people faking needing to be exorcised. It's very
interesting.
Weird.
Because, like, I try not to judge other people's beliefs.
Me
if I don't
either.
share them. But if you're harming people,
or
preventing them from getting care that actually will help them, then there's an issue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't know, there's this weird trend, I guess, in a lot of cultures where people try to dissociate something they think is bad from the person who's actually doing it.
Yeah.
And they blame it on fairies or demons. And I just think that's a very interesting instinct that humans seem to have.
Even, like, if they were to kill someone over claiming it's an exorcism, like, to claim that this associated evil presence is a greater threat than what they just did to this innocent person.
Yeah, because, like, I don't know, it feels like having someone else to blame is more important than actually helping a person get through something.
Yeah.
This isn't your fault. It's a demon. We're going to punish the demon and you'll be fine.
Or you won't be fine, but we've still punished a demon or something.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if anyone's ever, like, done a study on it.
Okay, I think it's Janet Moses is who I was thinking of.
Okay, I've never heard of that, but it sounds interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Oh, I can't find the documentary anymore, which is probably why I was having a hard time finding it.
I'll just Google it.
But it's like a 2015 movie, and basically, yeah, like, they think she needs to, like, just keep drinking water, and, like, they, like, force feed her water until she drowns.
Interesting. It's actually weirdly similar to the death of Beverly Cleary. Not Beverly Cleary, that's an author. Bridget Cleary.
Oh, yeah, that's the one where they thought she was, like, a changeling or, like, taken by fairies.
Yeah, no spoilers yet, though. we're gonna get into that next season. We wrote a whole essay on it.
Excellent. I totally know that case as well.
Yes, it's a fun case. For us, because we're studying it like 200 years after it happened.
Yeah. Anyway, we should move on. I just want to, like, remember that woman's name because she died. I felt bad, like, referencing her without, like, saying her name. But it was Janet Moses. I think that brings us to highlight and lowlight. So let's start with Vail.
Oh boy. Okay, so I won't go into any detail about it, but I think my highlight is, like, the final scene between Dean and Meg, only because there's a lot of, like, psychological
stuff happening.
Yeah, problems being accrued. Lowlight is probably where Meg is knocking Joe unconscious, only because it's, like, really creepy. Jared's acting was very good. Absolutely, but it's still creepy. Really creepy.
Fair enough. Meredith, how about you?
Lowlight would be pretty similar to Vail's. I don't like it when Sam/Meg strokes Joe's hair. It's kind of creepy and nasty.
Yeah.
But highlight, I really, really love it on shows when the characters need to retrace their steps after losing their memories. I just think that's such a cool way to do an episode. They did it on Psych once. It was one of the best episodes. It's just always so much fun.
I think Supernatural does it a couple more times, and I think it's always good.
Yeah, so that's my highlight.
Excellent. And Jaden, how about you?
I'm going to have to say that my highlight is the scene where Jared has to knock out Joe and tie her up, and then Dean comes to the rescue. Probably the low light is going to have to be the beginning of the episode where we're going through all of, like, what has happened to Sam to get to this point, but it's kind of important detail, but, you know, it wasn't the best.
It's like exposition. Exposition is very hard to get right. It's like necessary sometimes, but you're right. It can slow us down a little bit.
It felt very, like, direct, so it felt weird the first time watching it, but as soon as you know that Meg is possessed and leading Dean along, I think it becomes more obvious that she was just trying to scare Dean more and more, and she knew where she was going, which is why it felt very odd, I guess.
My low light was also that scene between Sam/Meg and Joe. I don't think they should have made it sexual. Just like, I mean, it is good because it is very in character with Meg. Most of the interactions we've had with Meg up to this point are like this. Like, this is Meg's character.
Like, she definitely would stroke someone's hair.
And it is a bit of a double standard, but I was much more comfy with it when it was the large men who were tied up and the demon was the tiny blonde. When it's this way around, it's much more terrifying.
I suppose it's because it happens more often.
Yeah.
Like in real life.
Yeah, it felt, I don't know, obviously it's predatory when, like, Nikki Icox as Meg is doing it, but, like, when it's, like, Jared Padalecki as Meg, it feels much more predatory, and, like, Joe is just, like, a tiny little blonde, and I don't know, it was a little bit uncomfy. I get it, though, it is in character for Meg, and I would probably be a little bit equally mad if it wasn't like this.
It's like your bias, but it's a valid bias to have for a woman.
I think this is better than, like, when it was, like, Ansem Weems and Tracy in, like, Simon Said in the car scene. Like, I think, like, that was sexual for no reason, and, like, there was no justification for it. This makes more sense.
Yeah, because it's a part of an established character's personality.
But it is still uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, and I think that's part of, like, Meg's, I guess, part of her MO. Like, she makes people uncomfortable on purpose, and it helps her beat them.
And then my highlight is, oh my god, I just had it in my brain. I didn't write it down.
You got this.
Nope, it's not coming back to me. I don't know if I have a highlight.
Pick a new one.
I'm just blanking. Nope, I don't have anything.
Alright.
I had something really good, and I thought of while we were talking, and I just didn't. Anyway, call CPS. Times we should be calling CPS. I don't think there's much reason to. I think we slandered John when it was appropriate this week. I was really happy that Meg's like an anti-John. And I like that Meg in Sam was anti-John.
It's like the one thing that, like, early Meg and us agree on.
Yeah, we're, like, fully on board. Meg knows. Mental health check. I'm not a psychologist. This segment is based purely on my own opinions. Weekly reminder, if you're struggling with anything at all, please reach out for help. This week was pretty focused on the plot of the episode, and Sam wasn't Sam, so, like, 90% of what Sam said was a performance by Meg.
A performance that probably had some basis in reality.
But I don't want to, like, diagnose him based off of it. I don't want to be like, this is where Sam's at, based on, like, what Meg tells us.
Yeah, because she's going to exaggerate different symptoms and kind of turn the tables a little bit and present her own narrative, and that's not good.
Very much an illustration, though, of Dean once again needing Sam to be okay in order to have any self-worth.
Yes.
Like a shred of self-worth. And then with that, I would say is Sam just needing the safety net of, like, if I do or become something bad, if I'm out of control, it will be okay because Dean will make sure that I stop, and, like, that's gone. We knew it back in Croatoan when Dean couldn't kill Sam, but Sam full-on killed someone and was going to kill someone that they care about, and Dean couldn't do it. Sam knows now. He cannot rely on Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we kind of saw Sam struggling with that last episode, where he's like, you're only one man.
And that's we just proved one man is not enough.
Yeah.
He can
takes
save
two.
Sam, but if he needs to stop Sam, he can't do it. And that is gotta be terrifying for Sam, because obviously he was just possessed, but also, like, beyond having just been possessed, he knows that there are things happening to him that are beyond his control, and
That's why
that
we
might
have
cause him
Bobby.
to completely lose control.
Yeah, well, that's why we have Bobby.
It is why we have Bobby. They need a parent more than ever.
They need a parent who also happens to be like a bit of a sarcastic encyclopedia.